Remember, they're changing my voice because they know that I'm right and they're wrong. They feel me and so on and so forth. So why does an image game not work? Let's take the case of Prince Humperdinck, okay, from The Princess Bride. And the Dread Pirate Roberts was the protagonist of the story. He's a guy who was poor and he resorted to being a pirate to stay alive. He was kidnapped by a pirate, doing some kind of, he was a square, so to speak, and he's kidnapped and he replaces the Dread Pirate Roberts and he goes back to try to save the princess at some point. Okay, so Prince Humperdinck, he dresses a certain way. He has the best of everything in a very clean, very kind of pristine outfit, so on and so forth, kind of like Freemason stuff where he has kind of fluffy hair. Okay, now think about Lex Luthor and Superman again. Very pristine corporation, Lex Luthor, Superman. Think about the Emperor, or rather an officer in the Empire in Star Wars, and Luke Skywalker, right? Again, Luke Skywalker, born poor, kind of scruffy. Excuse me. The Emperor, rather his staff, very pristine outfits, military outfits, so on and so forth. So it is with police and the military and the government and the poor, right? The poor guy, he's trying to rise and he's trying to find his way. And there's these guys who have nice outfits, corrupt government, which by default corrupts the police force and the military and the intelligence agencies and the teachers and so on and so forth, because they're teaching people how to conform to a corrupt system with a corrupt government and a corrupt governing class. Pretty straightforward. So why does their image game not work? Because when you start off as Lex Luthor and Gargamel and Prince Humperdinck and the Emperor, okay, and the military staff of the Emperor, okay, can the military staff of the Emperor say, hey, just because we work for the Empire doesn't mean we're bad. We're just following orders. No, you are part of the Empire, okay? You're with the stormtroopers and them. You are devils. There's no other way it could be. Now, if you try to start demonizing the people talk about morality, okay, then you look like a worse devil. You don't look better. That is not the master propaganda technique. And this is interesting, right? Because you might say, well, I agree with all that. Why are you telling me this? Think about the Freemasons. They're part of the social engineering process. Why would they spend so much time on their uniform and standing in straight lines and rituals, but they would magically miss that they're making the white, Jew, and LGBT community their main stakeholders, the main peoples that they try to make seem superior? Why would they miss that? They don't miss that. They're building hell on purpose. Hell raise it, right? They're raising hell. They are Luciferians who are going for a Luciferian effect. They're going for Lex Luthor taking away Lois Lane and saying, she prefers someone like me. She prefers someone clean cut with, who knows how to dress, right? They're going for that on purpose. Okay? And there's no way around that. Now, let's look at it in terms of the racial hierarchy. The aim of the white man, who's known, and I'm not trying to make fun of white people or something, is known as the white devil across the world, is to first and foremost stigmatize black people for several reasons. One, they're the closest, they're basically the chosen race, okay? There's a chosen subgrouping of black people that is the natural alpha. So in nature, they naturally rise to the top and they take charge, right? We see this as Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, the Black Panthers, Obama, you name it. They have a natural grace for authority that other races don't have, and there's certain types of them, okay? The other reason is that they're the furthest away from the white man genetically, right? Asians, Eurasia, Europe and Asia, right next to each other, Hispanic people, part white, right? Spanish, what have you, okay? Spanish Jews and so on and so forth, okay? And so on and so forth, okay? So Africans, black Africans, sub-Saharan West Africans are the furthest on the human genome from the white man who's trying to make it seem like he's superior, but he's doing it in a Luciferian way. He's not actually, not in any time soon at least, he's not actually trying to convince you, okay, that he is chosen by God and that he's superior. He's trying to convince you to play stupid about the fact that I'm Christ and to choose to follow them instead. So when the white man tricks you and you're a dumbass, is when you choose to play stupid and follow him and not me. That's why the word deal is lead scrambled. Because what is the purpose of propaganda? To convince you that you're actually be all you can be in the army? No, to forge a certain society where certain types of people end up joining the military. That's the purpose of it. What's the purpose of marketing? Okay? It's to forge a certain society. They're not just trying to market the product, they're trying to market a cultural order and certain cultures and reinforce the pre-existing social orders, if you will. So there's no way around that it is impossible for the white Jew, LGBT community, or anyone else to look better than me, even if you don't know who I am or what I'm trying to do. Number one, I'm black, which the white man has elevated, right? How did Christ get elevated in the Bible? He was crucified by the white man, by the Roman who tries to look better than everyone else. That's how he was elevated. And specifically how? Because he was a gangster? No. He was crucified by two thieves and said, hey, you know, those guys are the closest thing to gangsters in the story will say. They're like, hey, you know, street gangsters will say. They said, you don't deserve to be crucified. And they said that they did deserve to be crucified. So they weren't being elevated by the white man just because they were crucified. Christ was being elevated specifically because of morality. Okay? The miracles were just seen as a fruit or a consequence in the story of being moral. If you're moral, you bear certain fruits. You don't have to walk on water to do things that are profoundly important if you're a moral person. If you're a moral person, by default, you are like a light in the world, you have a profound effect. But it is impossible to be moral while cheating me out of my right to lead. So therefore, every white person that doesn't obey God through me is closer to the evil person in various characteristics in various ways. And it is impossible for them to leverage that in public and be seen as better than me. Okay? They're seen as closer to Vader and Palpatine. They're not seen as better than Christ wearing rags. Okay? So even when they try to change my image to make it look gay, who, what, when, where, how, why? We know the white Jew and LGBT community and their corporations, you know, are doing these things on a spectrum. So some of them are doing it, and some are just part of the greater cultures of being white, Jewish, or LGBT, and they're reinforcing it by just being that and not obeying God through me. The only way to clean themselves, to wash themselves free of guilt, is to obey God through me. They're not doing that, so therefore they're on the spectrum of guilt. The Bible says, Proverbs 18:9, one who's slack in his work is brother to one who destroys. Whoever does not gather with me scatters. So they're scattering in one of the core groupings of people that are doing it and reaping the rewards, casting the lots, like the soldiers who cast lots for Christ's clothes, right? There's a picking order, a pecking order, a blood money order, trickle down ill-gotten gains and blood money, and racial supremacy, racial ill-gotten gains, race-related ill-gotten gains, social ill-gotten gains, what have you. So when people see me in this town, there's very few black people, they say, you're a black guy who's not a thug and not a token minority in a suit driving a Cadillac or a Mercedes. Okay? You are superior to everyone around you. They say, and I'm going to say it again on purpose to make sure you understand and to make sure the oppressor understands, you are superior to everyone else around you because you are from the race that the white man holds down the most because they've done the most good for humanity, okay? Where it matters most, religion, civil rights, you name it, okay? I'm not talking about fake-ass churches here. And you are not a thug. When you were tested by the construct, you didn't fail and become a thug, a typical thug, without a higher cause, and you didn't fail and become a token minority. You said, I'm just a good person that they're sabotaging, and that is superior. I am Christ on the cross, even if they don't know who I am, to them, so to speak. Because I'm carrying the cross of not being a thug, of not being a token minority, but yet being black, and obviously seeming like a good person. You see how it's fucking retarded to persecute me. No matter how you slice it, I am superior to them everywhere I go. They just brought themselves down to the point of like the Jews in the Bible saying, let his blood be on us, of taking that responsibility for sabotaging the most righteous guy ever and saying fuck you to their children more than anyone has ever said it, and anyone will ever say it again in human history by persecuting me. You see how I am far superior to the devilish oppressor in his three main forms especially. Thank you.